It seems that today in the games industry that everywhere you look, every new game released is some manner of live service game. Live service games in premise are simple. What if your favorite game never ended? What if you could play your favorite game all day, every day, with new, fresh content? And while this has been the main driving force behind live service games in the past, live service games of today are starting to feel like they're causing more harm than good for this industry as a whole. And in this video, I sort of want to talk about my thoughts on live service games, where I think it's going to go, and why I think that single player games and indie games are the way we should be moving forward in the games industry. Right now, it feels like every new AAA release is either busted, crap, or a platform to sell you microtransactions. While there are some noticeable exceptions to that rule, like Elden Ring, recent high-profile AAA flops like Fallout 76, Battlefield 2042, and Destiny 2 Lightfall still serve to remind us that live service games in the AAA industry are becoming more and more prevalent with each passing release. And this brings me to my first point about what I hate about live service games. Because studios keep shoveling these out into the market, in a completely undercooked state, live service has become a shield used by developers and fans to justify games that are broken on launch, lacking in content, or both. And a really great example of this, to circle around one more time to the Destiny thing, I swear, it's that Bungie GDC talk where they've straight up said things like, it does not matter about quality, it matters about speed. These live service developers are mostly concerned with shoving as much mid-content into your face as fast as possible. And of course, when these live service games come out half-baked, lacking content and lacking a reason to play, developers have to resort to conditioning players into staying in their game and treating it like a job, and using these cheap tactics and artificial barriers to the fun like item levels, time-limited events, exploiting your fear of missing out with systems like battle passes, to more repetitive tasks like daily and weekly objectives, for example. And to me, it just is a tacit admission of our game isn't good enough. Our game isn't fun enough to hook you in. We need to use these psychological tactics to hook you in. And that's probably a little extreme, but when you go on to read about how people are hiring psychologists to make games feel as rewarding as possible by not making a fun game, but by exploiting your brain chemistry, it earns my ire a little bit. And because interest in these games relies so much on FOMO content with artificial tactics, it means that these developers need to keep content flowing at a very steady pace, as mentioned earlier. What this also means is that it stymies more creative developers into producing sustainable, but repetitive and very easy to create content. A pretty good example of this is Amy Hennig's canceled Star Wars game. And if you don't know what that was, Amy Hennig is the game director on Uncharted, and she had collaborated with a bunch of studios from EA in order to make this really cool sounding Star Wars third-person game about a ragtag crew of people coming together to pull off a heist. So it was called Project Ragtag. And what happened was, when EA released Battlefront in 2015, they started to draw away from Ragtag and funnel more and more resources into Battlefront 2, which led to the game being canceled. With EA CEO Andrew Wilson saying that Visceral's closure, the studio which was the main driver behind Project Ragtag, it said they were closing because they needed to pivot the design following player feedback and marketplace trends. Which comes across to me as corporate speak for, why would we invest all this money making a single player game that will only cost $60 once, when we could make Battlefront 2 where you can roll for the character you want in loot boxes? There's a great quote from a YouTuber that I deeply respect called Charlatan Wonder that goes something to the effect of, don't let your art become content, meaning don't let your passion get turned into a horrendous gray sludge that you have to keep pumping out to make money. Most of these studios, their art has become content a very, very long time ago. Ever since the Battlefront 2 started coming out, or the Destiny 2, or Ubisoft making Tom Clancy do another 360 rotation in his grave, making yet another live service looter shooter thing out of his universe. It's just clear to me nowadays that lots of these AAA studios are trying to just crowd the genre with their live service games. Which brings me to my next point. The genre is crowded. Only the big hits in live service remain. For every one that comes out, 5 more flop. You can't get momentum entering the market. Comparisons get drawn right away. Every RPG that comes out is the Destiny killer, or the Diablo killer, or something like that. The comparisons always get drawn up whenever a new live service game shows itself off. And I think that overall, this has led to this obsession among gamers with the dead game. For every new live service that comes out, everybody aggressively reports on every problem it's having. Steam charts are referenced to the point of exhaustion and annoyance. And then you immediately see the game community around that particular game become divided in two. One side is the diehard fans that will keep playing it because they love it, and the other half wants it to die because, I don't know, some people delight in misery, I guess. But the point is that we have this obsession now with alive and dead games and player numbers because nobody wants to invest their time in a game that goes to zero. Nobody wants to invest their time in a game that's going to get shut off in 2 months, 3 months, a year after it comes out. And while we have games that have proverbially risen from the ashes through patches like No Man's Sky, and while we all love a great comeback, this wouldn't happen if the game didn't release as a piece of shit in the first place. Because of all the reasons I mentioned previously. You're making mid-content that has to come out every 3 months. You need to keep the players hooked, so you put in walls to the fun. You put in the FOMO tactics. You put in the item levels. You add those daily and weekly rewards. Sprinkle a lot of unfinished content, some bugs, maybe some server issues in there, and then put a big heap of microtransactions on the top, which is actually content you would have earned playing a single player game, but it's just chopped off and sold for $5, $10 in the cash shop. That's how you make your modern live service game. And it makes me sad because it doesn't have to be like this. For all these crap live service games, there are still some AAA studios even that are putting out solid, consumer-friendly, awesome experiences. Like I said, there's already Elden Ring, which is just this massive 100-hour plus game that's completely feature complete on launch, no microtransactions, none of that shit. Baldur's Gate 3 is making waves because AAA game developers, as I understand it, are scared that this is going to be taken as the new standard. And I think that these indie games, single player games, are the perfect cure to this live service bloat we've been getting recently. You can pick up and play them whenever you want. And even the multiplayer ones don't succumb to the FOMO too hard. Deep Rock Galactic, one of the best co-op shooters I've ever played, it has season passes, but they're completely free. You don't have the option to buy additional tiers, and all the cosmetics go back into the game. There is no fear of missing out with Deep Rock Galactic. Likewise, another indie banger that I've been playing over the past couple weeks is Deceive Inc. It's a really fresh concept and take on extraction shooters, and their monetization approach is awesome. It's a buy-to-play game model with no FOMO from the Battle Pass. If you buy the Battle Pass, you can keep unlocking the things on it, even after the respective season has ended. But unfortunately, despite some major content creators covering it, the Steam charts numbers dropped a little too low. And now everyone thinks the game is dead, despite the fact it just got an update and no one's gonna play it, which is a shame. Which makes me kind of sad because we are victims of our own self-fulfilling prophecy when it comes to gaming. If we think a game is dead, even if it's getting updates, we're not gonna play it. But that's enough of a side tangent for now. My point being that there are lots of amazing games in this industry that respect your time, respect your money, and they're being buried under a sea of crappy live services that major company keeps pumping out, and mass market appeal ensures that someone will always be buying it. And if you like playing Call of Duty, if you like playing Fortnite, I'm not gonna stop you, obviously. I'm just a dude with a microphone, right? I'm just ranting about it into a screen. I can't stop you. You keep doing what you want. But I think that all these live service games are seeing us not as players, but as products, right? We're just wallets waiting to be taken advantage of. Our time, our money monopolized, all in service of driving some invisible metrics graph up for some suit at a company to say, yep, our game was successful, guys. Though I do feel like the live service trend has started to backfire a little bit on publishers. And a great example of that is, once again, Battlefield 2042, right? That game came out in a really awful state. Nobody liked the gameplay changes they've made. Nobody liked the way it was broken on launch. Updates have been coming out, but I don't think they've done much to sort of stem the tide. But this is where Bit Remastered enters the scene, which started its life as a humble Roblox game. Bit Remastered was taken by 3 people and built up into a traditional Battlefield experience that the fans love. The game launched for 21 Canadian dollars on Steam, and it has almost 88% positive reviews. Fans love it. They're saying that it's the Battlefield that 2042 should have been, that 3 guys beat a multi-billion-dollar company. And this is sort of the crux of my argument, is that while big companies are making games that make them the most money, there are still people out there that are making games they want to play, games that they pour their passion into, not for profits, but to just make something fun and give it to the world. Whether that be studios like Larian fighting tooth and nail by releasing 2 Divinity games in order to finally get the Dungeons & Dragons license to develop Baldur's Gate, or the 3 people behind Bit Remastered turning something they love into a product even more people can enjoy. And to me, that means even while it might look on the surface that gaming is going to shit because players are being valued more for their money rather than their fun and enjoyment of a game, it's nice to know that there are still people out there that are making games that are fun and respect your time, and games that they want to play first and foremost. So, like I said, you don't have to do anything I tell you to do in this video. I'm just a dude you hear over the internet. But the point of this video, other than calling out live services for being the pieces of shit they are, is to make you aware that for every soulless live service they put on the market, there are 3 indie game developers making solid experiences fueled by genuine passion rather than a love of money. And most importantly, regardless of anything I've said, have fun with gaming. It's a hobby, it's a passion for a lot of people, so enjoy it, first and foremost, no matter what you play. Thank you for watching, again. To anyone who's watched either the Destiny video and this, thank you for watching both of my videos now. It does mean a lot to me. I'm trying to work on these videos when I can. Mostly I just work on them when I feel inspired. I want to see if I can make more. So thank you very much for watching.